Alright, welcome back to another season of TTML. This time we're in F3. And we're starting off at Portugal. And it is going to be a wet race. I had a quick gander to see if it stayed wet. And by plus 45 or so, it said it was going to lighten up. So, this is the new season of TTML. I am in F3 as opposed to F4 last season. My teammate is Sway, and we are in the Williams. So happy with those, very happy with those combinations. Anyway, here's the setup that I'm going to load. I'm leaving this intro footage in to debunk a few bits of nonsense that were flying around afterwards. So this is the setup I ended up trying to work on. The main thing I really changed was the suspension geometry. For a little bit, I was just lacking a bit of turning. The rear was fine. This track is a bit dodgy with traction, but just have to get used to it. The rear was sticking okay. But the front wasn't really turning in, and that was not helping them with the rear and on the exit. So I felt like the suspension geometry tweaks kind of changed it. And I said the back end was loose, and yeah, it is, but like you need it to be loose at the same time. So anyways, I'll just save over that setup because that is the one I want to be using from now on. And well, it didn't take long for us to discover that there was a few things wrong with the lobby here. And well, I'd like to make a long story short. Sway, who was F2 host last year, which of course uses no ABS, he forgot to turn back on ABS for F3, and as a result, we had to jump out and set up a new lobby. So. Also, there was like Codemasters EA connection errors that were happening throughout this. So like I took flipping forever to actually get into this in the first place. And, well, I'm afraid that would be the case again. And during this time, I was apparently grabbing a wet setup and whispering sweet nothings into Sway's ear about changing the weather to all wet race, even though I don't want to be all wet race. I don't like racing in the rain. My pace is shit and has been ever since F1 2018. Excuse me, I do not do well in pace in the wet. It's very, very clear. If you've watched any of these, I do not get on well in the wet. And look at this shit. This is. I honestly spent like about 4 or 5 minutes trying to get back into the lobby with this shit. So, yeah, I'm afraid no wet setup was grabbed. Would that have been useful? Yeah. Because I don't think wet setups actually really work on this game. All you really do is you pull up the ride height, you take down the tire temps a bit. You jack up the wings, which in Portugal I'm running 811 anyway, so what's the real point? And, excuse me, we eventually get back in though. And on the surface of it, it looks like it's an actual full wet race with flipping lightning. Look at that shit. Look at that shit. So, I've seen that one there for a while. But the plus 45 even on the dry was gone. Like, I was like, oh shit. That's not good. It's not going to be dry at all. So... I've done zero wet practice for this race. I generally speaking don't do a ton of wet practice. I really don't, because I just don't want to go to the worst case scenario, which to me is wets. I did a few for the back end of TTML last season, like at USA, and that actually ended up working out. But just to look at that again, I loaded no wet setup, and we're going to change it a bit even still. So yeah. In terms of where my pace lies in this division, I really don't know. I have absolutely no idea. I guess we'll find out as the season goes on. We're not going to find out tonight because flipping wet conditions aren't going to be really representative of what I can do. I'm sure what others can do as well. Anywho, we get to this is my last qualifying run. It was, I think, on my PB, I think I was a 16.7, 16.8 or so. So look. I used all 3 runs because I was sure we weren't going to get any dry running. So, yeah, P16. I was like, oh, I know I didn't really nail it. If I'd nailed it, I could have got close to 11th or 12th. So, but again, I'm sure other drivers could say the same thing. So I have no idea. This is where we're going to be qualifying for the most part of the season, like FTRL. Well, we will see though. Anywho. Jumping into the old, look at that, the no stop. Dry last 2 blocks, we'll see how much that actually matters. A very comfortable no stop. I don't understand the tire stuff here, by the way. Like, the wets could just do the whole race, but the dries, nah. Like, You know, you got to pit lap 13 or 12 or so from mediums.
Under fuel.
I don't know. It's the tire stuff is very strange here. But yeah, like a comfortable no stop. Comfortable. I reckon on inters you could do no stop as well. That's the thing. Anywho, I went with 9:11 on the Wangs to try and make up for well, anything really. Right, here we go. 33 laps of this shit. Then 5 red lights. And away we go, and Sway has jump started already. I didn't think this was a bad start, to be fair, but you're going to see the wobble. And nothing. Can you see anything? I fucking don't think so. But we're going to go around the outside, though, and try and make up some positions. This way we get one on Stevie G initially, and then he gets me back, and then line on the outside opens up again. So I'm thinking, great, this is a good chance to just go through. Right, now, elephant in the room, Matthew... TTG Tybos has muted us for this race and did not let us know he was muting us, so we could mute him since he's in F2, and yeah, so he can't hear us, and he's going to be making lots of noise during this race, and he won't have a clue that he's blowing our ears up at inopportune moments. So yeah, and this will be reflected in the no conversion. Anywho, lap 1 is nice and easy. This corner up here is be a little rough. Now, I know I've been talking about early gear shifts. I'm actually fine with doing early gear shifts lap 1 in the wet here, because this is my first running, like at the formation lap, to discover some of the conditions. But obviously this is my first wet lap in Portugal at actual racing speed, so it is a bit of an adventure, but it was fine. Like generally, actually, do you know what? Like, here's the thing I didn't expect. I actually ended up really enjoying these conditions, more so the intermediate conditions, but like to the latter stage of the wet as well. I didn't really expect to be honest. Like I think going slower here and not being much on the traction, I think probably lent into that enjoyment of it. Anyways, VSC is deployed after Kevin has an accident. Sway had just gone into the pits to serve his drive-through, and the VSC came up, so he can't serve the VSC under the safety car. So, yeah, rough stuff. I think Dylan may have jump started as well. He got to serve his, I think. Anywho, we get through lap 1 at least relatively unscathed. I mean, relatively. We got up to P12 actually from P16 or so. So a pretty decent lap 1. A few people pitted, to be fair. But like, look at all the standing water. Like, it's absolute insanity. There's a lot of standing water. But honestly, the conditions weren't too bad. I only wish I had under-fueled the car a bit, because I don't know. I was just apprehensive about fuel here, and I needn't have been in wet conditions. That because I'm shifting with such short revs anyway, especially at a track like this, I really should have just gone a bit more aggressive with the fuel. Because I'm sure it costs a lot more performance than I think you actually give it credit for. And that shit, oh my god, the ears blowing up. And Scuba is rightly flipping pissed, and especially with the VSC's ending like as well. That shit was crazy. Look, he didn't know, but his lesson, we had a stern talking to with Matthew afterwards. We get by a Hipula boy here. We had a stern talking with Matthew afterwards, and everything is okay. Anywho, lap 4, you can see it's gotten so much darker. It's so dark. That last corner isn't flat, and I think Johnny's going to go around here and almost take Yogi with him. We get the run on Yogi. I really should have just committed to my ERS here. I stopped once I got on the slipstream. I really should have committed, because like, you're not really using ERS a ton here, and you just need to use it all on the straights. Like, you will literally recover it all. In these wet conditions, you just have to use it all the way down the straight. So that's why overtaking is going to be a little bit difficult unless you're running more aggressive wings. But conditions really worsened here. Like I think Mad Jonas just went off at the same time here, and I almost lost it as well. Like, the conditions really, this must be the lightning part of the race. So just conditions were really bad. Lap number 5, safety car is deployed. I can't remember for what for. One of Mercedes there. I'm not quite sure which one. Yeah, this is where I told Scuba that, look, I think Matt may have muted us, and we were really supposed to mute him. So he goes and does that. I didn't, because I didn't want to ruin my footage, in case I need to save it.
Yeah.
So, but conditions not good enough for intermediate. So we're going to stay here, and getting the tyres warm is going to be a big issue here, because with this last corner, if you have cold tyres and you try and just go full guns blazing, you're going to lose the back end. So I'm just very conservative as a result. Downshifting there. Everyone seems to get through though, relatively unscathed. Got Dylan just behind. So again, you're just using ERS all the way down here. Like that's what you're doing, and overtaking is going to be difficult just because of that. This turn one, kind of Hockenheim-esque with the way it closes. So you have to be really careful. Arguably the outside line for overtaking might be better in some ways, if you got the clearance on the car. Just crawling through here, just have to be so careful. But Dylan then is going to get the run. He gets a slightly better run. I struggled with that part of the track, to be fair, so he goes down the inside. I struggled with that run onto that straight, and you know, I was vulnerable at times because of that. Anywho, he's only lap 9, man. It's been a busy one. But these conditions, you're gradually getting the feeling for. Again, you're just trying to get back up to speed once you get the tyres back up to temperature and see where the track is at. It's definitely gotten lighter. Lap 13, this is a position we're going to be making here on Yogi, I believe, because this is one of the more dangerous traction zones. I have to be honest, he lost a fair amount down. He must have tried to put the power down in 4th all the way. And his car went very late. It wasn't even just at the exit of the corner. Like, it was well down. Anyways, the VSC is deployed, and look, we were thinking about intermediates anyway, and because we were going quicker in these, I think quicker in these wet conditions, and even though the VSC is ending, I am going to go, and myself and plenty of others went for the intermediates at this stage. A couple of others like Jane stayed out on wets. So we're going to go on to the inters, and this is the phase of race where I just felt really good on these tires. These conditions felt really good. Again, you're able to be a bit more aggressive on the throttle in these inters conditions compared to the wets. Now, you're not super aggressive, all things considered, but anyway, lap 16, this was a pretty funny moment. Waffles must have lost the back end, and he just like hops across. And I don't know, in retrospect that was pretty funny. But lap 16, we're kind of in a nice little no man's land here. We just got, well, not really, we got a few cars behind us. Hipula Boy, my teammate, and yeah, Matt is still lap 16. Of course, because we obviously started so much later with the lobby issues, Matt is on like, I'd say lap 20 yards or so. And I'm trying to keep Hipula Boy behind me. I was successful in doing so for a little while. Back end wanted to go through there. I tried to use ERS through that last corner, and I was reminded very quickly of why I did not. So, but yeah, Hipula Boy is able to keep him behind, and Sway just behind as well on his. He's got a few pens, and catching up to some of these guys who haven't pitted for inters really. Lap 17, I believe this is where
Jesus Christ.
I think this is where I get distracted by Matt. Oh jeez, it's just.
Jesus Christ.
I'm like, these wet conditions are tough, man. I almost lose the back end there, and Hipula Boy gets the run, but thankfully just not enough room for him to get through on this occasion. But like, I'm super distracted at this point in the race, because I'm trying to zone. There's 1,000 things you're trying to keep an eye on. Like, I haven't driven a race around this track, a proper league race. So I'm trying to figure out traction zones and braking points in the wet conditions, that ever improving wet conditions it seems as well. While also trying to keep, just trying to focus on all these different things. And then, I've got someone else blowing up in my ears. It's a little distracting. I know, right? Anyways, we'll plow on. We're in a good spot here, and I'm afraid next lap it would continue. And Hipula Boy gets a decent exit, to be fair. I can't give up on the ERS early. He sticks his car in, and I leave the space. I should have the better exit though, because on the outside line there. I'm still super distracted, and big snap of oversteer. He goes through. I'm like, I need to get this back. I try to get this back immediately, and outside, that's my second warning, and I'm really annoyed at this stage. So I feel like I was doing a good job keeping Hipula Boy behind me, and I just got so distracted with stuff going on. Last chance here if I get a switch back, but it's gone. That position is gone. And yeah, I'm not very pleased with Matthew in this moment, because, and I almost lose it here as well, because now I'm rattled a little bit, because like I've lost the position and I missed my braking point there. I'm like, oh, I'm going to kill him after this race. He's, again, a stern talking to is going to be had. So anyways, yeah, that is that. We just lose a position to Hipula Boy, and you got Kevin 7 seconds so behind. He'll be digging into that. through this next interstint as Sway's going to just stick behind me. I told him if he got the run, he could like to go for the move. Lap 19. What's happening here? Oh yeah, we caught Jane on wets. I asked how much faster these inters were than wets, and he finally pulls into the pits just as we were about to catch him. So yeah, that works out. I mean, the track is definitely getting quicker now. Like the rain is getting quite light, so we're not a million miles away, I'd say, from seeing dry conditions. Lap 21. The Pula Boy's kind of gone up the road a few seconds. Kevin's closed in as well. And this is the point now where Matt finally mutes his microphone. I'm like, well, jeez. Late for that, man. I forgot. I accidentally skipped the footage. I'm sorry. There's a safety car that came out lap 20 odd, and I pitted for everyone pitted for dries. And look at that, the sun is shining now, so I apologise. Merck lost the back end because he had cold tyres. I'm going to stick to the left-hand side here. I know Kevin's coming. He'll close up the gap just for the safety car. I'm going to let him go, and we're going to try and fight. He makes contact with Hipula Boy, who is sent into me, and I get wing damage. Annoying because he was never making that move. Like it's a corner like Hockenheim and it closes off. I've got wing damage before and not reported it because of, like, for example, you know, like remember in FTRL where I ran into the back of Wesker when he there goes a car. I ran into the back of Wesker when he had wing damage in Spain. That's not his fault. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to report that, even though, from my point of view, it looked like a brake check. I knew he was just dying with damage. But I felt like in that, I reported that incident because in that case, I felt like he was never making that move. He's left his car and he's made contact and he's sent that car unintentionally into me, and I've got wing damage, and my race is done. Like this is a horrible track to lose your wing because there's so many long corners. So. I'm now going to bleed positions, so I'm not happy at this stage because my race is now gone to shit. Like that's it. Like we're done. We just have to get to the flag and try and not get a third warning on understeer. So I know Kevin and company were not happy I reported him, but I felt like he was on the hook for that incident, and my race has been heavily compromised, and I find it hard to believe that anyone else in my situation wouldn't have done the same. So I looked at it for a while afterwards. I really on the fence whether to report it, and I asked some of the guys I race with, like, look, should I report this? And they're like, absolutely, you should report that. So I was apprehensive, but you know, I felt it was the right thing to do. And Kevin Goldfeist took a penalty for it. Now, that doesn't help me at all because Yogi spins there, and we're going to get in a position that way. It doesn't help me recover, like, you know, my race because it's gone by this stage, but. I felt it was worth reporting. Last lap, last two corners. It's going to be P12. Disappointing because Hipula Boy, I was just right behind Hipula Boy and he finished like 6th. Wesker, who was up the road from us in the wets, he got a podium. Kevin got 7th. There were penalties around, so I was pretty annoyed at how things shook down. And I'm the only one who's but Sway got a P9. We got some points for the team. Frustrated, man. I thought that race was going well. So yeah, disappointed for that one to slip away like that. But there you go. That's how the cookie crumbles sometimes. You know, been there. Anyway, that's going to do it for round number 1 of FTRL at Portugal. Next up is Baku. Thanks for watching, and until next time.